Hello all. So I'm just going to do a battle report for you, a bit of a talk through what happened. So this is the start of the battle basically. This is the gaming table before anything happens. So we've got the French Lancers out on this flank, ready to jump in. We've got the French in the centre there, 2 columns and 1 in line. Up on the hill, French guns and the Swiss on this other flank. The British are opposing them with some hussars on this flank. 3 units of British line there in the centre by the fields. The guns just off centre with the howitzer behind, and then one unit of line on this flank here. So turn 1, the Lancers decide they're not going to obey orders and just stand about basically, doing nothing, a bit confused. While the rest of the French in the centre all push up, the Swiss stay in line to give covering fire, in 2 columns, French line infantry and the old guard in column, march up to capture their objective in the field. The British count this by moving forward. They move 2 units of line forward into the field. The idea there is to just pour fire into the columns. On this flank, the unit just move up to the rocks and try and get in range of the cavalry, but they're just out of range. And the British cavalry move up. I mean, they are under threat by the guns here, but they now threaten the French columns and the Swiss in line. So it's up to the French player now to decide what he wants to do here. So the French in the centre, despite the fact the cavalry's there, they decide to push on, not form square, and head up to the fields. So the British have got options here. So the British, seeing that the columns have moved up, charge into the flank and hit the old guard and wipe them out. This is the aftermath. You can see the guard have disappeared, and the other French column has been halved and failed a panic test. So they're stuck there. That's because these 2 units in the field here just poured volley fire into them, and the artillery opened up on them. There wasn't a whole lot they could do. They just had to soak up that fire, but they are still on the objective at least. And then over on the other flank, the British infantry reform and just move through the gap to try and get back into the fight. So the British infantry on this flank moves across to capture their primary objective. They failed their orders first time round, but this time they've moved across, so they're going to start scoring some points. The secondary objectives for the British are over on the French flank, so the French side, so they're not going to get to them. So the British cavalry in the centre here have taken a real mauling. They failed the panic test, but if I can get rid of that when I activate them, the next turn they can either kill the Swiss in line, or they can go around to the flank of the guns, forcing them to move position. So being a canny old wargamer, I decide to ignore the Swiss for now, because I think that my infantry could take them out, and I move them round to the flank of the guns, which will hopefully make the French player reposition his guns. So the Swiss on this side just move up, because I think I can take them with my infantry. So here you can see the French guns have turned round. They can't fire this turn because they've moved, and they had to really. They had to try and stop the threat from that British cavalry. So here we can see in the centre what's left of the French column and the Swiss line infantry. So the French are not going to be able to do a lot. Here on the other flank, I missed a picture here, so I'm sorry about that, but the line lancers actually got into the battle and came down and completely annihilated one of my British units that was in the field. So the unit in the field did try to form rallied square, but they failed their orders, and even with a re-roll they couldn't do it. But this unit, seeing that, decided we're not taking no chances and formed square. It did leave the artillery a little bit exposed to this cavalry, but they still had a turn of shooting. And they opened up on the cavalry, and that was the end of them. They just wiped them out to a man. There was nothing they could do about that. So with this cavalry wiped out, that meant that line unit could then reform into line, push forward, and there's nothing on that flank now to worry the British. Polish in the centre there started to take heavy fire from this unit of British line and the other unit of line that moved up into their flank, and they were getting enfilading fire, which meant they could re-roll ones. So there was no hope for them Swiss, really. They were going to get dead, and that's kind of what happened there. These Swiss did try and move up to support them, try and take out some of the British firepower, but they were a little bit ineffective at long range, and there's not much they could do. This British unit, still on capturing points for the British on their objective, just poured fire into the French just to try and weaken them a little bit. So the guns on the hill, you can see they're being threatened there by what's left of the British cavalry. And he fully expected me to charge him there, but I decided I'd spotted that unit of Swiss in line. There they are. So I could draw a charge on them. So I decided to run over there and charge them and wipe out that unit as well. They did try and form rally square as well, but failed even with another reroll. And that was the end of them. This did leave the British cavalry exposed in the centre there again. And the guns could just draw a line of sight to them. So that was the end of the British cavalry as well, but they'd done their job today. So with the French wiped out, the Swiss wiped out on this objective, the British just moved up. The guns managed to get some more fire onto them, but it didn't manage to kill them all. They contest that objective now for the rest of the game. This is the British on the other flank, moved up into line, and they were what wiped out the Polish that was stood on that objective. So at this point of the game, the French have got hardly anything left. They're stuck up on their little hill with 3 guns and just the generals left. And at this point, they decide to concede battle and withdraw the guns and save them for another day. The British won, I think, by about 3 victory points in the end. If it had carried on, they could have marched across the table and got some of the secondary objectives as well. So, a well-fought battle, and overall, a British victory. So, I hope you enjoyed this little video battle report. I was actually going to record it as a video, but I messed up the first couple of videos early on. So, I had to do it with just pictures in the end. Thank you very much for everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Next time I will be doing some rules videos coming up very soon. And I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now. So just one thing I wanted to add that I forgot. I haven't done this battle report as a cinematic battle report because I'm saving that for when I do the continuation of scenarios. This is scenario 1, but it wasn't part of that sequence. So yeah, the next one I'm going to ask my friend Medieval Warrior, Nick, to do that for me, and that'll be part of the proper sequence of them. Anyway, thanks. Bye for now.